I'm Stacie Sussman, and you're listening to C-Suite Strategies. In today's episode, we'll explore a question crucial to your professional success. How can you expand your network and leverage the power of community? Have you ever felt isolated in your professional journey, especially when transitioning from corporate to entrepreneurship or being a leader and there's no one you can talk to? Well, imagine being surrounded by a supportive community that accelerates your growth, provides warm introductions, and celebrates your wins. It's not just a fantasy. It's the key to unlocking opportunities you don't even know could come your way. Join me as I sit down with Julie Morris, a networking guru and passionate cybersecurity thought leader who's mastered the art of meaningful professional connections both on and off LinkedIn. With a wealth of experience in community building, particularly in tech and cyberspace, Julie is here to reveal how you can expand your network and transform your career. Julie shares her insights on finding the right communities, the do's and don'ts of networking, and why authentic connections will always trump traditional business development every time. From leveraging LinkedIn to creating in-person connections in the cybersecurity field and beyond, we cover it all. In this conversation, we'll dive deep into the world of professional communities. You'll discover why being visible and vocal is crucial, how to find your confidence to step into the spotlight as a thought leader, and while celebrating other successes can lead to your own growth. Whether you're a seasoned professional looking to pivot, an entrepreneur seeking to expand your reach, or just an expert aiming to boost your influence, this episode is your guide to creating a network that supports your growth. Tune in now as we explore how to expand your professional network with Julie Morris. And it all starts now. Welcome to C-Suite Strategies, the podcast that takes you inside the minds of top executives across diverse industries. I'm your host, Stacie Sussman, Chief Revenue Officer at RevUp Advisory, and I'm here to uncover the strategies, insights, and hidden wisdom that drive success at the highest levels of business. Each episode, we'll dive into a specific topic crucial to scaling a business, exploring the unique challenges and opportunities that shape growth and success. Whether you're a seasoned C-suite executive or a hungry founder seeking more knowledge, this podcast is your backstage pass to the strategies that separate good companies from great ones. Prepare to challenge your assumptions, expand your horizons, and walk away from each episode with actionable insights that can transform your approach to business. Follow now and join us as we uncover the secrets to sustainable business growth, one powerful conversation at a time. Your next big breakthrough might just be a listen away. I am here with Julie Morris, and I am super excited to have our guest. Today's topic is cultivating connections, growing, flourishing professional gardens. I wanted to use that title and that analogy because I always say you should plant little seedlings all over in order to grow your professional network. And then Julie, I found, wrote a really funny post, and I'm going to quote it from LinkedIn that says, Julie wants you to know that starting a community was the happiest accident of her professional life. And this is a tell-all because secrets help nobody. And if you know Julie, that's so true. And you should dive in to start your own. The water is fine, but don't dare do it alone. You'll probably fail. Julie, welcome. So happy to have you.
Thank you, my wonderful friend Stacie, who I have gotten to know through community. Would have been one of the people that were just out there on LinkedIn that I would have never known or connected with had it not been for what community has served. And so I'm very grateful for that. And I'm glad to know you and all the work it takes to produce something like this.
There's a lot of behind the scenes that goes on, but all good because these conversations, I don't love that sometimes they happen in our four walls or our Brady Bunch squares, I like to call them. And so here we're bringing this to sort of a larger audience. So before further ado, I'm Stacie Sussman, CRO of RevUp Advisory. If you guys have been following me, you know that we are a boutique consulting firm that helps clients maximize their opportunities and to scale their revenue. We'll kick it off in a second. I'll just start that moving from corporate to more of the entrepreneurial life, I literally had to rebuild my network because most of my friends and professional connections for almost 2 decades stayed in corporate, and I moved to more of a entrepreneurial startup scale up kind of world. And so the biggest thing that helped me to hold my hand in the beginning and then to kind of expand my self and my offering and my business was community. And I wouldn't be here today in year 6 of my consulting firm without the help of community. And so I think it's such an important topic. And it doesn't matter if you're entrepreneurial or it doesn't matter if you're in corporate. I think we're going to look at it through maybe an entrepreneurial lens for this conversation. But community is everything. And I actually believe that your professional network, not just your clients, I'm talking the people that you can surround yourself with, which I like to call an informal personal board of directors for Rev Up Advisory. I've found a lot of these people through either my corporate network or through professional communities. And so just want to ask you, Julie, why are you so drawn to this concept of community? You can go sort of wherever you want with the answer, but we believe community is so important, but I think we need to explain and tell everyone why.
Yeah, absolutely. Connection means that you have so much around you that will buoy you and kind of lift you up, because none of life is easy. None. Not the entrepreneurial journey, not the corporate journey, not being a parent. Like there's nothing in life that is simple to walk out. And the complexities get lessened the more that we have people around us. They just do. I think community and collaboration are very much kind of on the same wavelength, right? Within community, we find opportunities for collaboration. And what is that? I think like the future is an ecosystem. And if we have people around us, that's like everything that we want is on the other side of somebody else in that relationship and that opportunity to collaborate. Work is fluid now between, oh, I'm an entrepreneur now and I've got my own startup, I've got my own consultancy, yay. Well, maybe in a couple of years, I'm going back to corporate, but I also maybe still have something on the side. Having community, having network around you, having people in your life that know you and know about what it is you do, that enables everything else you want, all the opportunities on the other side of those collaborations.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like some of my best connections that have expanded and grown myself professionally and my business as a consultancy firm have really come from the essence of community. And like Julie said, Julie and I did not know each other before I joined DIY Influence. It was actually a referral from a professional friend, Katie Noag. And Katie and I met through a different community. And she said, oh, you should really join this community. I bet you would love it. And here we are sort of a year later. So I think you've sort of answered the next question, but I know you're a member of Chief and a bunch of other communities. You've started your own community, but why is it so important? I feel like some people are always on the fence of joining communities. Some people say, I don't need a community. I have my network. And I just don't know if you can see always the tangible value of communities, but I think maybe in storytelling, you can share some of that. So what do you think is so valuable and so important to being in a community?
So I think I have something like around 9,500 connections on LinkedIn. Most of the ones that are in cool places that I have not been are because I was a part of networks like Chief. That warm handshake of being in the same community, it's like you've been vetted. There's no community that is perfect, and some, I think, really can aggravate worse than others. They're run by humans, and especially when they're profit driven, like most of them kind of have to be, right? Like they have to be a business. And so I'll just give that caveat that like no community is perfect and anyone can kind of tear apart like anyone else's efforts to build community. It is hard. But going back to like, what does it do for me? I would say that I would be about halfway along the journey that I would be in growing my thought leadership on LinkedIn, in growing the business that I actually want to do. So I mentioned that I'd recently pivoted like into more of like a cybersecurity focus. because I have had these other communities that I'm a part of, because I've had now the network that resulted from being a member in those communities, now I can go, you know what? I don't really want to do broad marketing anymore. I want to do marketing and thought leadership for cybersecurity. And specifically, I just really want to do the thought leadership part. And I pick up the phone, I go on my LinkedIn, I email people, I say, hey, what do you think about this? And those people open doors. What do you do if you're not equipped with the people around you that have those relationships? Like, you don't go far. And so because of those relationships, but like going back to that idea of a warm handshake, the validation that just comes from, hey, we both have this membership here. You don't get nearly that kind of access to people because there's so many people coming at you all day long through DMs, through whatever, right? And you have to know, who am I going to prioritize? If everyone wants a piece of me, like, I've got this much to give, I'm going to give it to the people that are the closer level to me, which, like, if we're looking at a bullseye, it's like, here's the whole world, here's my community, so you guys get first dibs in essence. So if that's a way to think of it, it's worth every penny. Chief has been one of the more expensive memberships to have. I think membership ranges anywhere from like $3,000 to $9,000 a year, and that's like without the extras. But you have to just kind of do that cost benefit analysis. Like, relationships mean everything. And so then you look at that, and then even the new client opportunities that have come from it. But you can't go into community thinking business development. That's got to be like a side effect, but don't count on it, because everybody has a nose for BS. Everyone knows when you're just here to pitch something. And it's so disingenuous to approach it like that, even though, let's all be real, every one of us have a business or client objectives or something like that. And we can't disconnect ourselves from those, but we just can't lead with that as the primary goal, like, ever, for much of anything.
Yes. Oh my God. So many good things that you said. The Nose for BS, Julie and some others run the community DIY influence, which we are going to talk about. But I always look, from my perspective, joining a paid community, who runs the community, social proof, experience, breadth, what I've heard them talk about. And that trickles down throughout the community. And so why I think this community is so special, because Julie shares it all. Julie on her office hours and are called screen sharing, showing, doing, telling. I feel like you show everything. And so there is no, in my opinion, BS, or at least from my perspective and seat, I don't see it. And so that's one reason to join the community, because obviously these are all paid communities at the end of the day. Yeah. So that's one thing. I just went through, for my business, an evaluation of which communities I'm going to cut, which communities I'm going to reinvest in, and which communities I'm thinking of taking the money I cut and reinvesting it into new communities. So that's like a real thing that goes on. I also did a poll on LinkedIn about the old playbooks don't work. Times are different. I think they should be lit on fire. But it says, what does work for you from a business development perspective? And the number one answer on my poll, 42%, said warm introductions was the best thing that works for people, followed by content creation, 29%, in real life, in-person meetings, 17%, and then personalized outreach, 13%. But why I want to point out that statistic of my own poll on LinkedIn is warm introductions come from my community. So the best connections for people I need to speak to, access, business development, answers to clients, I can pull inside Circle Julie uses for her community and get access quickly to answers. And people are so kind, and they're willing to get on the phone with me at the end of the day, or Zoom. And that propels you just so much further in your business and life, because you can get things in an instant versus days or weeks to research and get those answers. So the value of community for me has been like unparalleled, but that's just like one example.
It's huge. And trying to figure out on your own is just about the most expensive thing an entrepreneur can do, right? All we've got is our time. You want to go down a rabbit trail for half a day trying to figure out what CRM to use. Like, that sucks to think about anyone doing that on their own. So, I would say at the end of all of this, like, we could talk about this community and that community. You just got to have some group that knows you, that you trust. And it can be, I don't care if it's your kid's soccer team and all the parents hang out and you all get together and you just information share. But like that piece right there is so important. And because they know you too. So like if I'm going to recommend anything like to Stacie, I would be able to take Stacie into account. It's not just, well, here's this CRM, it worked for me. So, but it's, well, what's your business? Where are you at? What do you need? What are you trying to get to? And there's enough investment there personally to where we really want to see you succeed. Like that riding force there is really important.
Yeah. And so there's so many communities. I would say at this point, I'm a part of a large volume of communities. I am an active participant in a small number, and I am a paid member of a small number. So I found when I first started my consultancy, I need to be in all these communities. I'm in all these Slack channels, but going wide and broad wasn't a great strategy for me. I needed to go narrow and niche and be more active in certain communities. So there are a ton of communities. So what do you perceive the current climate of community to be? And then I'll throw the next question, which is, what are some of the gaps you saw? And so then why did you start your own? So it's almost a twofold question, but answer wherever you feel like you need to go first.
When I think about the future of work, it is this rapidly, wildly evolving thing that the shifts that are happening from, hey, let's go ahead and try to cut out all our middle managers. Or every day there's a new headline talking about the workplace evolving. And we, 10, 20 years ago, 30 years ago, we used to have all these clubs that like we were just a part of that filled holes in our hearts, right? Church, like people go to church a lot less. There's not like, hey, kids, join the Rotary Club like I did. We don't have connection like we used to, like we need to. And so I think just the gaps in the world to start with, it's like, you got to have people that know you. I know that I could be having the worst day and all it takes is connection, and not even like with my people, but like friends. It buffers stress, like unlike anything else, right? But that connection piece, I definitely was not looking to start a community when I first started this. But I totally did. I'm really grateful it kind of evolved quickly to that. But the gap for me was more of like, there is not a way to do this service that I do with thought leadership training at the price point that it costs for the people that need it the most. And that was this set of people that were involved in these work shifts that were happening really fast. Like, I'm not going to be able to go and charge $1,800 a month to teach you thought leadership one-on-one. And you don't need it at that level anyway. You don't want someone to handhold you and do ghostwriting for you. You just need to know you're not screwing up. You need someone to watch your back. You need just someone to say, hey, no, really, you're doing great. This is good. Keep doing it. And so that was kind of the onus for really starting this, is like, we have to do this. We weren't born in the world of social media, right? Like, it's not in our DNA. We are all figuring it out as we speak while the world of work is changing so fast. And so that was the gap to me. But in communities, that's the hard part right now, is that there are so many. It is a flood. And so I do believe that niche communities, really highly specific, we are doing this mission, this type of project, we're going to all write a book together, or we're all going to get in shape together. Like, most people, they need a really definitive solve for something. Like, what can you solve for people? The general ones I don't think are going to survive. And this act of community building is so hard on a good day because you're doing it in the margins between your day job, your family, everything else. And that could be sometimes 2, 3, 4 hours a week, or overnight, one long night kind of thing. And so without purpose and without clarity, it is too hard. And you're not going to probably do well with you and your 3, 4 hours a week. But if you take your 3 hours a week and you find a couple other people to take their 3 hours a week, and all of a sudden now you have real momentum, things will start to grow.
So good. And now a word from our sponsor, Rev Up Advisory. At RevUp Advisory, we're passionate about transforming businesses. Most B2B companies struggle with scaling, but with us, you're guaranteed to maximize your marketing and sales growth because it's literally all we do every day. We know you've already accomplished some amazing things, but we also know what got you here won't get you to where you want to go. When the messy middle of scaling feels overwhelming, we dive in, we clean it up, and we create true business transformation. Our job is to handle the nitty-gritty details that get you there, allowing you to focus on the bigger picture. Led by Stacie Sussman, with over 25 years of expertise in sales, marketing, and operations, our team of business strategists and technical wizards are ready to carve the right growth path forward for your company. Ready to rev up your business? Contact Stacie Sussman at RevUp Advisory today. You have recently, I would say, maybe rebranded or created a more clear vision of what DIY influence is. So for those that are not familiar with your community, I joined a year ago, so I've seen the evolution, but can you be very specific and clear about what your community does?
There was a point that we kind of looked around and we went, okay, who's here? Who is actually here now after we've been here about, 9 months, a year? And who's been helped and like who still needs help? And so a community that can evolve, I think it's wise to just let it become something that is needed rather than just about somebody's vision. The one thing that did bind us all together is that we have got to learn how to use our voice and not stop until we are known as the subject matter expert for our work. And we have built around us a followership that can propel us to wherever it is that we want to go. Like that being that core thing. And also a lot of the people there, they would have been very happy to just be quietly doing the work. Like, I don't want to be in the spotlight. I don't want to have people following me on social. Good God, why? Why would I ever want that? So that's today's day and age, though. If you're quiet, you're forgotten. Like sitting on the sidelines while less qualified people are off carrying the torch and getting the attention. Like you've got to pick up your face from the work and you have to tell people about what it is that you do and where we should go from here. That's so important.
I love that. I feel like, oh my God, it makes me feel so good inside because I feel like I found you guys at a time where that's exactly how I felt. I was tired of sitting on the sidelines, hearing people bang on their chest, the loudest person in the room standing from their soapbox. And I was like, I can do this better. I can do this more efficiently. I can actually deliver results at the end of the day. And I just got tired of hearing the same people over and over talking about what I did, fractional CRO, RevUp Advisory, and then hearing in the whispers of the hallway of clients saying, yeah, but we hired this person and I'm not sure how happy we are with the results. But I'm like, if no one knows about Stacie Sussman and no one knows about RevUp Advisory, right, I'm leaving sort of no better imprint on the world of business and entrepreneurship. So I use your community as a catalyst for putting my voice out there, and the opportunities, the accolades, the amount of people that come to me, whether it's DM, text messages, phone calls, emails, because not everyone wants to share publicly, which I think we've learned in our communities, has been tremendous. And it's, gives me the bravery, the courage, the confidence to keep going. And so I feel like it's serendipitous.
I think so. And the people that get drawn to us also, I'll just say this, like what they have started to achieve, like between LinkedIn visibility and clarity around their message, the reality is like it could have happened anywhere. You just need enough people to know you and to know what journey you're on, but also like to get around people that might help you go, oh, hey, you should write a book. I know you're thinking about it, but like, where's the book? What's happening with the book? Like to try to manufacture that kind of momentum. I think I love that part just as much. Like, so seeing results is important. And I think that might even put a little bit of a fine point of like, what are the metrics for success in being a part of your community? What does success look like? And being able to ask and answer that. I think where communities really fumble and lose clarity of purpose is like, we don't know what success looks like with you being a part of this. And we're not willing to really kind of open up and talk about what's happening behind the scenes as we're thinking through it. And so if you have no clarity at all around what the leadership is doing within your community, I promise you they are just as imperfect as you are, but they're just trying to make a show of knowing what they're doing and talking about. And so that's problematic, is when you can't have a discussion with the members that are there. They should want to hear from you.
Yeah. And I will say, I think certain communities have gotten so big that they probably lose sight of that. And so I love being part of active niche communities, big or small, but like Julie's on my calendar. Whether I attend or don't attend is up to me, but Julie's got invites on my calendar all day, every day, all week at different hours. And it's up to me to show up at the end of the day, but you're visible. And I think that's super important as a community leader. Talk to us a little bit about your background, because I feel like I've learned so much about marketing and sort of marketing myself. Because I think when we're in corporate, we've done such a great job of marketing the company that we're with. But then when we start our own companies and it's us, Stacie Sussman as the thought leader, it's a different beast in itself. And so talk to us about sort of your background, because I think you break it down in the community so well, and you have a background that's interesting that supports that too.
Oh, thank you. I have gotten to do marketing and somewhere around visibility creation for almost all of my career. And I hit a point one day where I realized that, like, I was sitting in front of a nonprofit leader here in the town that I'm nearby, and he had created this workforce development program. And it was just, I mean, like, I knew enough around philanthropy to know, like, that this is exceptional. And if I could just make him sit down in front of a video camera, like once a month, once every couple weeks, and tell his story, they would never want for donations again. They would be the easy fundraising yes. They would be the easy philanthropy yes, because he was doing the work of sharing best practices, sharing what they were learning, sharing what they were doing. No one wants to be marketed to. No one. You don't want to be marketed to. I don't either, unless it's like that funny Dunkin' Donuts commercial from Super Bowl. It's got to be amusing if I'm going to listen to your marketing. But like thought leadership, like, I'm marketing without marketing. I'm selling without selling. I'm just making the world a better place by sharing what I know. And I drove away from that meeting with the nonprofit leader, and I just thought, okay, I'm done. I cannot do marketing, like just boring by itself marketing anymore. This is it. This is my goal. This is my mission. Like, I just got to make that person in charge stop and see the value of taking like 10% of their work time, their work hours, and devoting that to the work of speaking, writing, representing the cause, carrying the torch for those ideas. And so that was kind of the impetus for my work in thought leadership. And it is the coolest job on the planet. I love what I do. I love it so much. And so that pulled me into this piece, though. Like, I've volunteered in career transitions for a lot of years. Single moms trying to figure out how to do a resume, all the way through to the other side of like where I've watched now later career people trying to go, okay, they just told me I'm redundant and I don't know what to do next. I don't know what to do now. I don't know what to do tomorrow. And I'm going to solve for that to the best of my ability, is to make that path very clear. Day 1, day 5, day 10, not fumbling around for months on ends, going, I don't really know where to go, or should I be applying, or should I do this, or it's like, you need a path. You need less choices and less wondering. That is really secondary mission.
That's so awesome. I always speak to so many people during the week, networking, and always am privy to have really impressive conversations with really impressive people, men or women. And then I always, because I am so active, as are you, on LinkedIn, go and check their LinkedIn. And they have 0 comments, 0 posts, 500 connections on LinkedIn. And these are all-stars, savants, top of their game in their industry and their profession. And they have, I'll call it like 0 social proof to me on LinkedIn's the first place I go. And it's just astounding to me with a little bit. And I think you said that 10% number, how much more enriched their professional lives could be. But it takes time.
It does. It takes time. And no one can force you to stop working. No one can force you to step away from the computer and client work or your job. It is wired into us to just work until we feel good about it. And our feelings are a bad guide for any other factor. Like, we will work until we fall apart and leave everything else to the wayside. And, maybe it's just me, but like, especially if you like the work too, but if either you like it or you're doing it out of fear, but either way, you have to shortcut your wiring and stop working for a minute and do the work that really matters. Like, we'll read books like Work in the Business and Work on the Business. Well, working in the business is the client work, but working on the business, whether you are employed full-time and working inside an organization and trying to be that employee that does not get made redundant, this looks like thought leadership. Internal, inside your organization, building relationships, like cross-team collaboration, go be seen. And sometimes the culture of your organization sucks to the point where that is not safe. Then there's still a way to go on LinkedIn and be learned about and seen by people inside your organization that are not the horrible people that shouldn't, this piece right here, though. Very often employees find each other not inside the organization looking at some, internal Slack channel, but they find each other through LinkedIn. So yep. You on this team and you on this other side of the globe inside both the big organization, find each other through LinkedIn, collaborate that way, connect that way. You will find that is so much more safe of a role that you're a part of. And you've got a place to put ideas out there now. That's how you kind of buffer from crappy, toxic reorgs all over the place. And I hate to be so denigrating of corporate, but ouch.
But I think that's what community does for you. I'm in Florida. Julie, where are you? What state are you in these days?
Texas.
Florida and Texas. Probably didn't have that many mutual connections and comments, but the power of community, a referral, check out her website, went up to her LinkedIn, connected us, and here we are having this conversation. Like, that is the beauty of sort of what this could do for you. And it can happen exactly like Julie said, inside a corporate function or corporation, global. Imagine you're in Texas and imagine you're in Belgium. You can connect through that. Or it can be community like us, where Florida and Texas meet and we're somewhere in the middle there.
All right. So Stacie, what other juicy questions? Because we talked about how this is really designed to pull back the curtain. Like, where do we see evolving? I like that. Let's talk about evolving.
So where do we see community evolving? Because I believe that business development and sales are still going to happen, but the way that we've been doing it isn't working. And so I really, truly believe community plays a key role in what this is. And so where do you see this going? What's sort of some predictions maybe you have for community?
I think that community should be a place that serves its members and asks them to serve. And I think as community leaders, we want to assure of deep value. And so then we put our hands on the reins too tightly. That's a lose right there. Letting it become what it is rather than even what we think it should be is, I think, a really smart move. A community that helps refine the people there and really does take responsibility, not just for the members at a higher kind of pay level maybe, or not just for the members that they can get something out of, but really sees everybody and really does try to build value for each one. And it's very difficult to do. Community that doesn't extract, though. For example, with so many members that are so gifted in their unique thing, what can we do to give them a platform to teach and to inspire and to bring others along and to show where they are totally qualified in their space while giving that, to me, it's like, if you don't learn how to teach while you were in DIY Influence, we have a problem. Because teaching is an extremely useful way to show audiences what you can do and gives value that markets you and does business development for you without you having to do it. So getting innovative and thinking outside the box to fulfill everybody's needs as much as you can on a work side and on an entrepreneurship side and finding client side. So I love that idea. What do you think? Where does community suck and where do we drop the ball?
Well, I think that you guys do a good job inside this community of like polling the audience. Even we were on another call. Hey, we're thinking of doing these workshops. Hey, we're thinking of doing these sessions. What time of day that it is. We're looking at the geographic location of where our members are. And then another question you asked was, how many weeks in advance do I need to get on your calendar? Which is your favorite question to get there. So I think one is you and the people that run your community believe something, but I think you're really good at, I'll say, polling the audience, which are the members. At the end of the day, Julie's doing this, but she wants people to show up too. So whether 5 people show up or 100 people show up, she's trying to put her best foot forward. And I will say another thing I think you do really well, and there's a lot of sharing inside your community around this, is lifting each other up and the confidence to go out there and be a thought leader. And I'll just use LinkedIn as the example. The amount of incredible people that have dissertations, PhD, written a book, 10, 20, 30 plus years of corporate experience in doing incredible things. Some of them are like, oh, but I did that and I don't think that's exciting or amazing. Whereas to the outsider, that is exciting and that is amazing. And so I think pulling out the confidence and also even bravery to put yourself out there, I think the community for you does that really well. And I feel like it gave me that confidence to do that really well. So a community that helps me and cheers me on instead of breaking me down, we all need that.
I so agree. If we're known for anything, like the word supportive, it's kind of like empowered. Like, what does that even mean? Like supportive, what does that mean? Well, to me, it's like if we're not celebrating each other's wins, if we're not reaching out when it's not easy and not everything is shiny, if we're afraid to celebrate when we've done something cool. So I think a hard and fast, like number one thing that we will always, it's like, it has got to be respectful. And always a safe place to share what you think and supportive. It's like, I don't think we have a chance really in the same way maybe we would have a long time ago or something like that, like to figure out who we are aside from what everybody else has defined us as. And in a culture of support, we get a chance to get celebrated for things that like we may not have ever been celebrated for. Ambition, if that's you and that's what you want to get excited about, like someone should be there to say, yes, like that's important and that is valuable and I'm inspired by that. And so we're all about using your voice, and a lot of it is using your voice to lift others up. Like that's one of the best benefits of thought leadership anyway.
Amazing. We're going to wrap. Any parting gifts or wisdom I feel like you want to share?
So if you are hearing this at any point, you were made for more. You absolutely were. You have so much to offer the world around you. And if you don't feel like you do, it's probably because you've been in an environment that does not appreciate just what you bring to the table. And that is perfectly normal and perfectly okay. But you have more control than you think you do. And part of exerting that control is to look around you. And if you don't have the people in your life that you can count on to help see the good in you, see the incredible things that you are and you do, go find them. Don't wait for them to find you. Don't sit back and just hope that something falls out of the sky. You got to go search. And if it's not working in this particular group, that is okay. What they're doing is fine. It's just not for you. Go find where you fit, because life is not a walk in the park. You need your network. You need to be able to use your voice. So please go and fight for a better version of your life.
All right. And so where can we find you? Where can we check out the community? What's the best way to follow you? What's the best way to get in touch?
Love me some LinkedIn. LinkedIn is everything. The DMs get clogged pretty quickly, but please do reach out. And DIYinfluence.com is a great way to learn about the community that we happen to have. But again, there's so many out there. Just find the one that's right for you and grab it and latch on with both hands. Thank you, Stacie. This has been so much fun to hang out today.
Amazing, Julie. It's just so fun to listen to you talk. I feel like there's so many wisdoms and there's so many pieces of tidbits I always write down every time I'm in one of your community sessions or we speak. So appreciate you. Appreciate everything you do. Everyone go follow Julie and me on LinkedIn. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, Stacie. This was amazing.
As we wrap up this episode of C-Suite Strategies, I want to express my sincere gratitude to you, our listeners, for tuning in and engaging with our podcast. Your commitment to business growth and operational excellence is what drives this podcast forward. A special thank you to our guests today for sharing their valuable business insights and experience. Your wisdom is a gift to our audience, and we're honored to have had you on our show today. If you enjoyed this episode, we'd be thrilled if you follow and subscribe to the podcast. Your help supports us to reach more ambitious business leaders just like you. And if you didn't enjoy it, well, I guess I'll see you never. This is your host, Stacie Sussman, Chief Revenue Officer at RevUp Advisory, signing off.